Welcome. Borderlands 4 review, the fourth round in the Borderlands installment. Action RPG, some good old fashioned first person shooter, shooter looter, more like it. Developed by Gearbox, published by 2K. Now, I gotta say, gentlemen, first person shooters seem to just never get old. We got Battlefield 6 just released, at least at the time of this video. We got the new Call of Duty coming out, these big time games and these big names really sell well and rightfully so. You know, you got Counter-Strike still being played at high levels, streamed all over. I love them. I know you all love them. That being said, I got some boys with me. Some of the crew that we've been doing the co-op campaign that we've been posting. So Alex, Cam, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, man, exciting stuff. You guys played some more hours than me, no doubt, and may have a little bit of a further understanding of it than I do. But I want to get my initial thoughts of this game out, and then, we talk about the roll wall, give it a number between 1 to 10, 1 being the most atrocious, worst game you've ever played, and then 10 being in GOAT consideration. Right? I kind of am harsh on these ratings. I'll start. So. I am not very high with my score. Borderlands 4 is a fun game. It definitely is fun. It nails the classic shooter looter loop, right? Where the gunplay is tight and polished. The new weapon mods we'll get into, they're pretty sick and customizable, which is cool. And there is a creative flair with that and the co-op. I mean, the co-op is kind of refined, guys. We're having a great time. It's chaotic and entertaining. It's classic, kill the boss, get the loot. It'll never get old. That being said, the gameplay does not push this franchise further any, or at all, really. and maybe that was deliberate. Maybe they have the formula down. I don't know. But there are some cool new classes and tweaks to the Traversal on how you get around. But if you've played 2 or 3, you've essentially played 4, right? It's a polish with a worse story, I feel like, with all the performance issues it's been having. So it's not a must play. It's a recommended playthrough, particularly if you have a crew, because they, like I said, they refine the co-op and it's really smooth and a lot of fun with the class selection. So I know I'm talking a lot. I've been drinking some bourbon. So 7.2 out of 10 is my rating. 7.2. This game is expensive. It requires expensive equipment, especially on the PC. It will crash, likely. Expensive game and a lot of requirement for your PC for just the cel-shaded graphics, which again are not groundbreaking. Nothing in this game is groundbreaking. It's the same formula with a slight technical polish. All right, I'll take a breath and have another sip of bourbon, Alex. Maybe you're up.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that from a standpoint of Borderlands, they're not doing anything revolutionary with the product. And you're right, maybe they do have it down. I think in the genre of looter shooters, they do it really well since
They do.
Borderlands 2. I'm going a little higher. I'm going 7.5 just because
Yeah.
I think I have I've logged a lot of hours on Borderlands 2, 3, the pre-sequel,
Yeah.
you name it, I've played it. So I might be a little biased with a little bit of a higher rating, but I agree with you. The story is not as engaging. The graphics, yeah, it's almost overdone. Like Borderlands 2, you could run it on a laptop if you wanted. And I
Right.
know that's 15 years old, but they made it look so nice in
They
a
did.
time period where you didn't need a 4070 to run Borderlands 4 at 90 FPS.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I can appreciate the graphics for what they are, but they're definitely not the iconic what you think of Borderlands as. I
Yeah.
think this one is not as cringy as Borderlands 3.
Well said. Yes. Not as much stupid humor.
Yeah, I mean, Borderlands historically has always just been like chaotic goofiness, which I feel like this one did better than 3, but definitely not as good as 2. And again, hate to be comparing it to 2, but that set a pretty
Right.
high standard for this genre.
Yeah. Well said. And the PR of this game really hasn't been great, right? With that Randy Pitchford making the comments saying this is a premium game for premium gamers. And you have to run it on the crazy settings on the PC. Now, they did release a patch late September where they made it a little bit smoother. But listen, I still had a crash. We played last
Yeah.
weekend and I had a crash. You know what I mean? In
Yep.
October. So that was
Yep.
late September they released that. So what do you say? A premium game for premium gamers.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that premium. So so I hear what you're saying. You're right. Borderlands 2, you could run it on a laptop and it was an amazing game, But
Yeah.
but Cam, go ahead on your rate.
I'm gonna give it a flat 7. So my experience with the Borderlands franchise is not much. I didn't play 2
Hmm.
or 3. I did play Tiny Tina's, which I enjoyed, and I probably would say I enjoyed that more than 4. But overall, like my experience with looter shooters, I played a lot of Destiny.
Nice.
Very different gameplay compared to what your Destiny gameplay looks like. It does remind me a lot of Destiny in some ways, like the movement, very similar. The idea of just farming bosses for loot and better loot, same thing with Destiny. The thing that I always go back to with this and like why I gave it a 7 is just the image of the game and just overall running the game. Having to have a 4070 or like a high tech computer just to run the game so it doesn't crash, even though the graphics for Borderlands has never been like picture perfect or like it's
Yeah.
this cartoony look
Yeah, it's not groundbreaking.
that it's supposed to look like this, so it shouldn't have to need a expensive computer to run it. The gameplay itself is fun though. I just beat the game yesterday. I
Nice.
do enjoy the story. It's a solid one, but I also don't have the lore behind it to really understand what the whole story of 4 is about. So overall, like I said, just the gameplay is nice. Farming loot is easy. Now that I've beaten the game, I've started to like get into that more, and the
Mhm.
ability to farm with like these crazy guns that just kill bosses instantly is a fun thing to do. But I
Yeah.
also find that there's not a ton of replayability at the moment. I
Yeah.
do need to check out like the new game plus feature. Alex was telling me just about how it's like overpowered levels, which I haven't tested out yet. But also, kind of forgot about this, but just to bring it up, why I gave it a 7. My game crashed, my power went out, and my save file got corrupted, which makes no sense
Oh, yeah,
because you
that's
would
right.
think it's an online game. Like it should not go through that issue where your save file is corrupting. Like it should all be saved to the cloud or wherever. And I was level 30 and all of it just got completely wiped.
Unbelievable.
And there's not even a fix for it, or there
Do you
is,
think
and
that's a
it's like
Steam issue, or do you think is that a like an actual Borderlands issue?
it is a Borderlands issue because when I looked it up, it's
Yeah.
happened with previous Borderlands, and
Oh, no
basically
kidding.
you have to go through into the save files and like rename them and change the file types. And if you log out of
Unbelievable, dude.
Borderland the first time, like after the crash, it's gone, like gone forever. You got to restart. So I restarted and just beat the game, but yeah, that was definitely a big thing with the game as to why I'm giving it a 7.
No, that's totally fair. And why don't we start with some of the negatives because the performance is
Yeah,
definitely a negative. Just to
performance.
tail off that, and don't even get me
Yeah.
started. You will be compiling shaders a
Yeah.
segmental fraction of your gameplay. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but you will spend time of
If
your gameplay compiling shaders. I don't know,
if you
like
played it, you know.
if
If
you
you
play
played it,
it,
you
if
know.
you played it, it gets very frustrating, and your game is probably going to crash. And then after
Yeah.
you crash, you have to boot it up. And guess what? You're compiling more shaders. Alrighty, so I'm with you. I'm with you, Cam. The performance, I mean, it's run into some issues. Even after the patch update, they changed a frame of view slider
Oh,
that
yeah.
apparently was supposed to help. But if you turn it up all the way, it crashes your PC. It was even crashing on PS5. I heard some reports of. Now it's
Yeah.
been running better on console, but listen, we're all PC gamers here, and it's kind of frustrating, man, that we have all this expensive equipment. And Randy Pitchford said, it's a premium game for premium gamers, and it's still doing this stuff. That's what I have to say. I mean, you guys kind of hit on that. The story, let's talk about the story. So, Borderlands 4 centers on a group of new Vault Hunters. You're on the planet Kairos. and you join this local resistance to overthrow this guy called the Timekeeper, the tyrannical Timekeeper, where he's supported by loyalists, and he's pretty much oppressed Kairos using these cybernetic implants to control you. And he has an army, and he's hiding a vault in the planet's central city. Same old stuff. You got to go kill him and get to the vault. So the story kicks off really after Lilith from the previous game. Lilith is back, sends a rogue moon from Pandora to Kairos, which kind of disrupts the Timekeeper's control, and it sparks revolution. So when the Borderlands 2 and even the Calypso twins in 3, like Handsome Jack in 2 is talking to you the whole time, taunting you, setting you up. The Timekeeper is a little bit more, he's a little bit darker. He's a little bit more like strict to his goal, I'll say, so it's not that over the top humor, which was a little change, again, a little bit darker, this story, but it didn't really leave an impression. The concept was cool. The execution of it, they felt short of. The plot felt fragmented.
Yeah, it's a good story. I mean, I will say, kind of piggybacking off what you said, the beginning of the game where like the Timekeeper's talking to you, that first little fight where fight his first lieutenant, Idolator Soul, the dude who looks like Thanos. I think all of that first part is very good. But like you said, I feel like the rest of the story feels very fragmented. Without trying to spoil it to you guys, the later half, after you beat his 3 lieutenants, feels kind of underwhelming with the Timekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it doesn't last as long as I would have hoped. Overall, like the gameplay against the Timekeeper, it feels more of you're just running a lot and not like actually doing anything. So yeah, it does feel a little underwhelming after kind of doing a lot of stuff to get to that point, and you really don't hear much of the Timekeeper when you do, or like prior to fighting him. Even it's kind of just broken up into different parts, and there's a bunch of different people talking to you, and it can get confusing.
Yeah,
totally.
No, I mean, I agree that he's definitely a different type of villain, which if you're a listener of the podcast, you're getting a daily dose of villainy right now. But he's definitely not an in-your-face villain like Borderlands has historically had, and I think that adds to the allure of Borderlands, where it is this like goofy, not as serious type of villain. I mean, literally one of the missions in Borderlands 2, Handsome Jack just wants you to jump off the cliff and kill yourself, and you can either do it or not do it. And he has a little dialogue either way. I mean, just some funny stuff like that brings you into the Borderlands series, and what you come to remember it for is different. And I get it, they're going for a different angle, but I feel like the people that want to continue to play the Borderlands series, what they're playing it for, obviously the tier list of weaponry, the good movement mechanics, the fun boss fights, the fun and creative boss fights, but they're missing that kind of silliness of things. And is it peppered in there with some side quests? Sure, but
Cam, you kind of talked about it too, how there's side quests, which some are cool, some were just, hey, fetch this and bring it back. But what's cool is that there's a lot of like world events, there's boss challenges, there are these big domes where you could go in and you could challenge a boss and get some good loot. So there is a lot to do in the game. And there is I don't know if you guys heard, there is a new Vault Hunter that's going to be coming out. So the post-game content, we haven't gotten too much into that, but it'll be interesting to see if like, hey, once we beat our co-op campaign as well, hey, maybe we can do some world events, maybe we can do some new boss stuff they release, you know what I mean, and farm a little bit. So so that'll be pretty cool to see. Am I going to be putting 50 hours a week into it and playing all this post game? Probably not. I might pick it up once or twice a month, that kind of thing. That's where I'm at. But there's 2 areas I want to hit that I do have a positive review for, and a positive aspect is the gameplay. So the 2 areas, I want to talk about the guns and I want to talk about the classes, which everything is a little bit different. You have the usual main types. You have your assault rifle, shotgun, sniper, SMG, pistol, etc. They vary by the different manufacturers, right? There's different manufacturers that each gun kind of has a type. They vary in rarity from common to legendary. They have some elemental damage, etc., right? The typical stuff from Borderlands. But there's now a license part system, which allows you to mix parts from different manufacturers onto a base weapon. So you can find a weapon with a base manufacturer's design, and then you could bring parts from other brands. So there's really some unique statistical effects and abilities like the elemental damage, or even like sticky projectiles, things like that that you can use. And there's like something like 1 billion different combinations or something like that. So there is a lot of different combinations. What's awesome is that you compare that with the different classes. And I will say, 4 has one of the better rosters of classes through the Borderlands series. Without diving too much into each, they all have like 3 different talent builds that you could do. But there's like minion summoning. You had a tanky class that you could just use a shield and heal. You had another support class. It was bending space time and using some gravity. That's what Justin was playing. So like some cool stuff. It was awesome playing co-op when we would time up all our abilities at once, and then. So, Alex, you played Rafa, who was like a melee ranged hybrid.
Yeah.
I remember you being like, hey, there's badass on me. And the badass is a name if you haven't played for a stronger enemy. And I would come up to you and I'd just see you going ham on him, just like jacking him up. Dude, his life was dropping. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. So, with the gun combinations and the class, the different builds you could do in the talents, man, it really was pretty cool. And it is pretty cool. And we're still going through it. We're still learning the different builds. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, that's what I'd say about the gameplay. Other than that, like we talked about, typical shooter looter,
Yeah, I agree. The gameplay is really crisp. The actual movement and gunplay are superior than it was in Borderlands 3, Tiny Tina. Even the movement mechanics with the vehicle. I don't mind traversing across, the barren wastelands of Kairos on the vehicle, and I feel there's an adequate number of enemies across the way. You can choose to fight them, choose to not fight them. You can fulfill contracts while you're doing that. There's, like you were saying, there's definitely enough to do. The boss domes are super fun. There's some nice mechanics that they added gameplay wise.
Definitely. You talked about the traversing, which was different. They had like the little speed bikes, so it was easy to summon the speed bike and ride around the speed bike, which were awesome. They were kind of like bumper cars. Like I would purposely, Alex, you were driving in front of me. I purposely like try to fuck you up and like make you go sideways into a rock. You know what I mean? So it was pretty cool there. And then the jetpack was a cool little thing as well. The jetpack, you had a little grapple hook that you had to use with a lot of different mechanics to climb up on things, also to lower things down. In a boss fight, you might have to throw something at the boss using the grapple. So there were slightly different gameplay mechanics like that. Definitely.
Like you said, the gameplay, very crisp. I like the movement. Like it's very easy to get places with not only the bike, but just even like the dash feature with the jetpack, which I really enjoy.
Yep.
I think it all boils down to just like it's a very typical looter shooter in that way. Just overall gameplay great, weapons great. You highlighted just how good the weapons are. And all the different things you can do with them. Like at this point in the game, after beating it, I'm starting to farm all the weapons. So I have like stuff that is killing bosses very quickly, but at the same time, like it's not like I have these god rolls of these weapons, so I'm constantly farming these weapons over and over to get that god roll. So there's at least like something to play for.
But it's not groundbreaking, right? You said it. It's a typical looter shooter. It's nothing that's reinventing the wheel. It's not groundbreaking anyway. It didn't do anything new. Like we said, it's just maybe like a little bit slighter, better graphics than 3, right? And it's pretty much the same game as 2 or 3. If you've played them, you've essentially played 4. And now we've been knocking it a little bit. We said we all gave it in the 7s because it is fun, right? It's true to the original shooter looter. And I want to give it one more positive thing because we've been knocking it a lot. So you're on Kairos, right? And Kairos is a different world. Typically, you're on Pandora, right? So you're on Kairos. it's a transition from 3 in the sense that 3 kind of had those splintered planets that you would go to. They were kind of like semi-open world here, and then you go to a different planet, and then it was kind of semi-open world there. Kairos is a massive open world in Borderlands 4. It's smooth in the sense that when you transition to the different flora and the different environments, there's no loading screens, right? So exploration was very smooth. All of a sudden you would be in these jungle fields, and then you'd be riding in your speed bike, and then you cross over into some frozen tundras, and then you'd be in some space ruins. So it really was cool, and it was a nice change. It was a nice change from 3, from the semi-open world, and even 2 from Pandora. So I enjoyed that aspect. We gave it the in the playthrough, I think it was part 2, we were up on that nice high surface. We gave it the stare off into the distance test, right? It looks amazing, and it passed. So it did have some cool graphics. The open world, I got to say, was a little bit of an upgrade to 3.
Yeah, I'll just echo your sentiment of the not the typical graphics, but nice graphics as it relates to Borderlands, and the open world is definitely nice. I don't know if that leaked into some of the performance issues, and maybe somebody a lot smarter than me can answer that question if that factors into that at all. Mm-hmm. But appreciate not having all these heavy, intense loading screens. And
yeah, there's no loading screens, but don't worry, if you died, you'll be compiling shaders as you're warping back in. So don't worry about that. Yes, don't die. Yeah. Just keep driving throughout the open world, and you'll be all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, but otherwise, I mean, I think we all kind of agree. Like, hey, fun game. But is it reinventing the wheel? Is this groundbreaking? Is this going to be in the greatest video game of all time consideration? Absolutely not. If you got a crew and you like first-person shooters, definitely a recommended play. That's how I'll kind of wrap up. Any final remarks with you guys?
I will say with the co-op feature,
yeah,
I tend to get very laggy in that situation. I know me and Alex were talking about it, but the FPS drop. You're skipping a lot. Sometimes I'll get stuck in the ground.
Oh, yeah.
I know all these things. We were just kind of praising it a lot and giving it a lot of positives. When you mentioned that, playing with the team or playing with some friends, just a heads up, you may run into some issues when you go to co-op. You may get stuck in the ground. You may lag a lot.
You may start floating.
Remember Justin was floating. This was floating. We're like, where the fuck are you going, dude?
You may have infinite ammo, but the ammo doesn't actually work. It's just a bunch of weird little bugs that come with playing co-op. Yeah. I don't know if that's normal for Borderlands. I don't know if they'll fix that.
Yeah.
As of this moment, there are some weird bugs you get playing with friends.
Dude, I'm so glad you said that. And even being the host, I hosted you guys in on the co-op playthrough, and when I would join or hit continue with my campaign, my personal campaign, I would compile shaders for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. But as the host, I don't know what the issue. Dude, it was almost 5 minutes the one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to play a game. I got to sit there and twiddle my thumbs for 5 minutes. It seems trivial, but dude, that adds up,
Yeah. Yeah. And we were all in the game. So that riddle me that. I don't understand.
Those guys wake up. You guys it's a bunch of bullshit. So you're right. The co-op might throw you in for a loop, but the combat, the gameplay is where Borderlands did shine. Everywhere else didn't really shine too bright. So
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining me, Alex. I'll see you around 3 a.m. for Pokemon playthrough. Alrighty?
Yeah.
Pokemon Legends is about to release tomorrow. So, we're going to be doing a review, and then Alex is going to skip
not
work.
3 a.m. review though, not the 3 a.m. review.
Fair. All right, next time.
Yeah.